The hive city of Tertium is on the brink of collapse. Chaos cults fester in the Underhive, heretics spread corruption through the streets, and the Imperium is stretched too thin to stop it. That's where you come in. Welcome, rejects, to Tertium. In this guide, we'll walk you through how to build a character for a Darktide-inspired campaign using the Wrath and Glory system. Whether you're a pious zealot, a grizzled veteran, a devastatingly strong Ogryn, or a dangerously unstable Psyker, we'll help you bring your reject to life on the tabletop. Let's dive in. Each of Darktide's 4 classes has a perfect Wrath and Glory equivalent. I've picked archetypes based on a tier 2 game, but there are other options of course. My suggestions are the Ministorum Priest, the Ogryn Warrior, the Sanctioned Psyker, and the Imperial Guardsman. Each one brings something unique to the fight, so let's go over what they do, how they work, and how to build them for maximum effectiveness. Darktide Extraction allows for any archetype to join the fray, but it's fun to see just how close we can build out the original classes from the Darktide video game. Zealot, the Ministorum Priest. While there are some other archetypes that come close, such as the Acolyte or the Confessor, I think the closest match you're going to get to the Zealot is the Ministorum Priest. The Ministorum Priest is a relentless melee fighter and a force of sheer faith. Unlike the Sister of Battle, who fights as an armoured warrior, the Priest is a firebrand, inspiring allies with sermons and purging the unclean with brutal melee combat. If you want to charge into the fray, screaming litanies and setting heretics ablaze, this is the archetype for you. Your key attributes should be willpower, for resisting corruption, strength, for melee combat, and fellowship, for inspiring allies. Your key skills should be weapon skill, ballistic skill, leadership, and intimidation. Your archetype ability is Fiery Invective. You can preach the word of the Imperial Creed as a free action once per combat, which means that you and all your allies with the Imperium keyword heal up to 1d3 plus rank in shock. Equipment choices. For melee, there's a couple of routes you could go down. Personally, I like the look of the Eviscerator for ultimate fun. But you could also opt for the Chainsword, which is lighter and faster. Then there's the Signature Hammer, which could take the form of the Industrial Bludgeon. There is the Thunderhammer option as well, which is closer to the Zealot's signature weapon, but for a tier 2 character it would be almost impossible to requisition. As always though, rule of cool and the DM's discretion. As for ranged options, you have the Flamer or the Hand Flamer, because what better way to purge heretics than with holy fire. The armour that the Ministorum Priest gets is Flak Robes. This is light armour that still offers some protection without slowing you down. The talents I've picked for this build are as follows. Repent, to gain bonuses when attacking enemies who have wounded you, representing the righteous fury of the faithful. Die Hard, which increases survivability, letting you shrug off fatal wounds longer than most. And Battle Hymn, to buff your allies with unwavering faith. If you like high risk, high reward gameplay and living on the edge of death for the Emperor, the Ministorum Priest is your best choice. The Ogryn Warrior. At tier 2, there's really no other option but the Ogryn Warrior, as the Bullgrin comes in at tier 3. Big, strong and utterly fearless, the Ogryn Warrior is your frontline tank. You might not be the smartest fighter, but you don't need to be when you can shrug off damage and hit like a freight train. Your key attributes would be Strength for devastating melee attacks, and Toughness for soaking up damage. Your key skills should be Weapon Skill, Survival, and probably Athletics. Your archetype ability is Let It Rip. Your approach to combat is simple, direct, and expends plenty of ammunition. When you charge and have a ranged weapon, you can fire it wildly as a free action. This is treated as a salvo option that awards bonus dice to your melee attack test equal to your weapon's salvo rating. Equipment choices. A couple of cool melee options would be things like the Grenadier Gauntlet, a power fist with an underslung grenade launcher, big, loud and brutal, or the Slab Shield if you want to be a true tank. This is your best option for soaking up damage. A Ripper Gun is the most on-theme ranged option. And as for armour, you're given Flak Armour. The best talents for an Ogryn would be something like Brutalist, which increases melee damage output, Die Hard, which enables you to take on more punishments before going down. The Ogryn is perfect for players who love smashing things and being the immovable object in a fight. The Psyker. the Sanctioned Psyker. The Psyker is the most unpredictable and volatile character in Darktide Extraction. You wield raw power of the warp, channeling reality-breaking energy to obliterate enemies, but every use of your abilities risks drawing demonic attention, or worse. If you want to be the team's psychic powerhouse with the ever-present danger of losing control, this is the class for you. Your key attributes would be willpower, your ability to control the warp and resist corruption, and intellect, which helps with knowledge, research, and spotting weaknesses. Your key skills focus would be psychic mastery, which governs the use of your psychic powers, deception, to hide the true intent of your abilities from Imperial authorities, and scholar, to understand ancient lore, forbidden texts, and esoteric knowledge. Your archetype ability is the Psyker. You have the Psyker keyword and are a Psyker. You know the Universal Psyker abilities, 1 minor psychic power, and the Smite psychic power. You may also want to purchase additional psychic powers. So what are your equipment choices? For the Psyker, suggested weapon options would be a Force Staff, the classic Psyker weapon. This enhances your psychic powers and lets you channel warp energy into devastating attacks. A las pistol, which is a simple backup weapon in case your mind runs dry. A Psykarna Mercy Blade, which is a short sword used to execute Psykers who lose control. And your armour choice is the Psykarna Robes, which is light armour that doesn't interfere with your abilities. Talents to consider for a Psyker would be Hover, to levitate above the battlefield, avoiding terrain and obstacles. Phantom Grip, to move objects or enemies telekinetically. Mental Force, to amplify the damage of your physical attacks. If you want to play an unstable wildcard capable of immense power, but always one step away from disaster, the Psyker is the perfect choice. Next is the Veteran, the Imperial Guardsman. The Veteran is a disciplined soldier, the backbone of the Astra Militarum. While others rely on brute force or unstable powers, you rely on training, precision, and sheer survival instincts. If you want to be the calm tactical sharpshooter who puts bullets exactly where they need to go, this is the class for you. Your primary attributes would be ballistic skill, your bread and butter ensuring you hit your mark, agility, which helps with movement, dodging, and quick reactions, and toughness, because you're not as tanky as an Ogryn, but you can still take a hit. A key skill you may want to consider here is actually tech, seeing as Wrath and Glory adventures usually play well with a tech expert, something that the traditional classes of Darktide at face value would not have. Your archetype ability is Lookout Sir. You've been drilled in sacrificing yourself to save your allies. Once per combat, you may make a reflexive action to move up to half your speed to get in the way of any attack that hit your ally. The attacker then rolls against your resilience instead of your allies, and may deal wounds to you. Your resilience increases by plus rank for the purpose of calculating this damage. Your equipment choices are as follows. Lasgun, the most iconic weapon of the Imperium, versatile, reliable, and deadly in the right hands. Or the autogun, if you prefer solid projectile weapons over lasers, this is a solid alternative. Also consider a long las, which is the sniper variant. If you want to be a designated marksman, this is your weapon. Secondary weapon options would be frag grenades, essential for flushing out entrenched enemies, and the plasma gun, for when you really need to absolutely annihilate a high priority target. And of course, your armour is flak armour, standard issue guard protection, light but effective. Some suggested talents for the Veteran would be Deadshot, to increase your ability to land critical hits with ranged weapons, Silent, to help you move undetected and strike first. The Veteran is the best choice if you want to play a disciplined, tactical shooter who brings reliable firepower to every fight. You might not have psychic powers or superhuman strength, but you have something better: training, experience, and a lasgun with a full charge pack. Let's take a look at some of the models that you can use during your Darktide adventure. Of course, as always, you have your own choice in models for your own character that decides to delve in the bowels of Hive Tertium. But let's take a look at a couple suggested models that you could use in your Darktide adventure should you choose to represent the characters as they are in the game. I would strongly suggest that you check out some of the Just My Archetype videos I put up regarding the specific archetype. I usually list all available official Games Workshop models there, but for this video I'll narrow it down with my top few suggestions. I just couldn't make a video about Darktide and not mention the miniatures game. In this standalone game you'll find 4 models representing each class, which you can see here. The game comes with 4 models to represent the classes, but also comes with Poxwalkers and Chaos Cultists, so is actually perfect as a starting point if your games are going to use miniatures. For For the Ogryn, my personal choice would either be one of the standalone Ogryns from the current lineup, or even a Bullgryn for the shield. Nork Deadog is a pretty cool choice. For the Psyker, you have Aradia Medellin from the Blackstone Fortress set, which also comes as a standalone model now, or alternatively, Esbern Locarno from Blackstone as well, and similarly is available as a standalone model. For the Zealot, there's a few options. The one from the standalone box game is the Ministorum Priest with Vindicator from the Adeptus Sororitas army. The other alternatives I would highly recommend would be the 2 new missionaries from the newly announced Sanctifiers kill team. And finally, the Veteran. There's a whole range of Guardsman models, some of which I cover in my Guardsman Archetype video, so well worth a check. But my personal favourite for this archetype is the Cascaran model from the Kill Team squad, but I also really like this particular model from the Cadian Command squad as well. Ultimately though, no matter what you choose to play, be it an archetype mirroring a class from the video game or your own choice of character, every reject has a place in Tertium. In Darktide Extraction, you'll need every ounce of skill, faith and sheer brute force to survive. The Mobian 6th, Chaos Cults and worse await you. Pick your archetype, load your weapons and get ready to fight for your life in the grim darkness of the far future.